In just a couple years, I've literally been able to go from a barber doing free haircuts in the garage all the way up to opening my own barbershop, charging $135 a haircut, buying my dream car, and moving into my dream house with my dog, being able to be close to my family. And if I went back to literally nothing, back to doing free haircuts in the garage, these are the 3 steps that I would take to get from 0 to 6 figures in just my first year. And this is exactly what I wish I knew as a beginner barber just starting off, or just somebody who was getting into content first looking to scale. So if I went back to 0, here's exactly how I would go ahead and make my first 6 figures cutting hair. So it's currently around 11 p.m. at night and we're doing this after hours haircut on this client. But while we're doing this, I'm gonna go ahead and explain to you guys exactly what I would do if I restarted in my parents' garage from absolutely nothing, doing free haircuts. And if I had to get all the way from there back to my first 6 figures cutting hair, which I did my senior year of high school. So I would explain exactly how I did that. Really, I would say there's 3 steps as a barber that you must do in order to actually get to 6 figures as a barber. The first step is obviously just getting good at cutting hair, right? Getting some type of base level skill set, getting some type of like tangible, good service, because at the end of the day, clients, they're paying for a service, and that's what nobody tells you, right? So if your clientele is in a position where they're not even feeling like you give them any type of value, it's gonna be really hard to make more money. It's gonna be really challenging to scale if you don't even have that base level as a service provider where there's, clients are feeling like there's no value. So for the first 6 months of barbering, I think the best thing that a barber could do, and what I personally did, was just focus on getting as many repetitions as possible, right? No business is gonna profit in your first 6 months. No business is going to make you a lot of money in your first 6 months to a year. But what you should focus on is building, getting good, learning the skills that you need to succeed, right? And during this whole time, as a beginner, I would be documenting the journey, right? I would be documenting every single step as a beginner barber, getting better at cutting hair, gaining more clients, doing new haircuts. I would document this entire journey, and I would eventually start building a following online from there, start gaining clientele that way. That's the easiest thing you can do. A tip that I would give beginners is to record every single haircut and then post it and then just tag the client. This is how I built my clientele in the early stage when I had absolutely no knowledge of what to do. And it's a trick that I still recommend today. Just basic retargeting posts, targeting followers, things like that, people that are already in the area. Mark, I'm gonna give you a better haircut than the picture, bro. But that was the most important thing that you could possibly do. Second thing, once you've got to the point where you've built a skill set, you've built a decent clientele, maybe after even 2 or 3 months, and you feel like it's time for the next challenge, because a lot of barbers have a misconception that you need to be the best at cutting hair. And this is why a lot of barbers never really end up scaling. It's because they keep waiting to market themselves until they have the perfect product. But the thing is, either they don't understand how the product really should work, or they just have to come to terms that there's never going to be a perfect product in the eyes of barbers. Because what clients see and what we as barbers see is very different. And so while a client, as barbers, right, like we're very picky, we're very hard on ourselves, and other barbers can be very critical of us as well. And so we tend to feel like we're not good enough to charge more. We tend to feel like we need to work, quote unquote, on the craft even more before we're capable of charging even just above $20 a haircut. And this just simply couldn't be farther from the truth. The reality is that most of you guys are probably in a position to charge at least 2 times what you're already charging. And most barbers severely undercharge themselves by at least like $50 to $70 a cut. Chances are, if you're a barber, you should probably be past this stage. And if you're watching this, you're probably ready to start scaling. So I guess the real question now is, how do I start scaling as a barber? How do I start actually making more money? Well, that would come with marketing. Marketing is the single most important thing as a barber that you can do to obviously build your clientele, build demand, but also get to the point where you can charge, above $100 a haircut, charge a really high ticket, work less, and make far, far more than you could ever imagine. But you probably are wondering, like, how do I even get into marketing, right? How can I even start marketing as a barber? Or what can I do to actually start getting clients today? Well, aside from posting on your story, probably the best format you can run right now is consultation videos. And in these consultation videos, there's multiple types. But the reason why the ones that I teach to my clients work so well is because they're timeless. They're not focused on copying a trend. They're not focused on getting a laugh out of people. When we create content within Cashflow Barbering, there's simply just one purpose to it, and that is to book high-paying clients into the chair consistently. And when we put that as the main focus of our marketing, right, it completely shifts the way we approach marketing, because no longer are we needing to copy other people, right? No longer are we needing to worry about how many likes and comments the video got necessarily, but we're really solely focused on, okay, how many new high-paying clients, right? How many of my ICP, my ideal client, did this video bring? And when you tend to make that shift, barbering goes from a lot of confusion, right, to being very clear. There's one point of marketing, and that is simply to attract high-paying, high-quality clients into your business. The question becomes now, how do I make these videos? Well, I have a separate video on my page explaining that, but what I would say is what I teach all my clients, and that is that we focus on one problem and one solution. I'll put it like this. If a client, let's call him Mark, if Mark has a really big forehead and his biggest insecurity is finding a hairstyle that can cover that forehead, Mark would pay me a lot of money, obviously, to find a haircut or find a barber that understands this, that he relates to, that can consistently solve this problem. And so whatever my clients decide, whether it's a big forehead, a receding hairline, just sheer work as a skill set in general, I have them really double down and just market this one thing. And so if you're a barber trying to make money, what you have to realize to make your first 6 figures is that you're not going to make your first 6 figures just doing the same thing that every other barber tells you. Relying on walk-ins, waiting on business cards that take forever. Social media is the strongest business card that you could possibly have as a barber. Nobody talks about that. There's literally no need for business cards when you have social media. Me personally, I would rather just post one video and get 100 eyeballs than have to personally hand out a business card to 100 people. And the thing that social media can do that no other traditional barber way of marketing can do is that it can build trust with clients before they even sit in your chair, right? Clients will come in trusting you, asking to be on video if your marketing is done correctly. And clients will come in expecting to pay a high ticket price before they even, have met you. They'll book online with a card and they'll even pay in front of the service. They'll pay before the service just because of the amount of trust that visually seeing the work and visually seeing the problem solving builds. And that's why it's so important to have a setup like this where you can properly showcase how you visually transform the client, the visual transformation that you give, right? The way that you're able to actually make the client feel like that their problem was heard, addressed, and solved. And so when you're able to do these things as a barber, it drastically changes the way people see your marketing. People no longer just see you as a barber or a jack of all trades. They see you as a hair specialist with a personal brand that solves people's problems and that people would be willing to drive very far away just to try out. Marketing is like the core thing of barbering, right? If you can't drive new clients into your business at a rapid rate, your whole business is just going to go bad, right? And so until you can learn marketing at different price points, until you can understand how to find an ICP and who you're marketing to, until you can understand how to consistently generate new clients, your barber business will never scale. You can be the best barber, but if you can't market yourself, everybody knows that it's not going to go anywhere. And so focusing on getting really good at marketing is probably the highest leverage thing you could do. The issue is most barbers overcomplicate this, to be honest, right? A lot of barbers overcomplicate this, and they think that they need all these different types of content, and they think that they need to make skits, and they think that they need to do day in the life and go viral. But to be honest, guys, all you really need is just 4 or 5 key points. A strong hook that calls out your ICP and calls out the people who you're trying to market to. A clear problem within your content. A clear problem that's being solved, both verbally, where you explain and position yourself as the authority, and then also just a visual representation of that transformation within the client. If you can do these things in your video, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get clients, even at like $75 or $100 a haircut, just like all of our other clients that we work with, right? After you get to the point where you're getting a lot of new clients, you're gonna have to be faced with one decision that is gonna change most barbers' entire careers forever. Do I stay at the current price I'm at, stay comfortable, stay happy with my business. Keep charging what I'm charging. I know for a fact that I'm not going to lose any of my clients, but I want to make more. Well, so the only way for me to make more at this point is just to cut more people, work longer hours, take in those extra walk-ins, stay late, take time away from doing the things I actually want to do. Or do I want to take that risk? Do I want to raise my prices? I know that I could charge more and make the same while working less, or potentially even far more, but I'm scared to take that leap because I don't understand what I'm doing. I have no structure or systems in place. And this is where most barbers go wrong when scaling, right? They get to the point where they're supposed to be scaling and they're just pretty confused overall, right? They overcomplicate it. They don't understand how pricing works. And that's just another basic skill as a business owner that you should know. So now we're at marketing, right? Every business owner, every barber should understand how to market, how to price, right? But the way pricing comes into play is it's simply about supply and demand, right? Think of your appointment slots per week as a supply, and then think about the amount of new clients booking as the demand. It's a very it's a very overly simplified way to put it, but hopefully that makes it a little clear for some of you guys who are maybe confused on how pricing should work. Now, people think that raising prices is just about charging what you feel like you're worth, quote unquote. And as a barber that's gone from literally free haircuts to $135 a cut, I couldn't disagree with this more. I think that every price choice, every decision in the business should be 100% data driven, right? And so that's why it's so important to know your numbers and know what content works, know who you're marketing to, know what you can and can't do, know what your client conversion rates are. And oftentimes when you guys start tracking, we'll see that barbers are oftentimes a lot more close to charging what they want to charge than they think. But the only way to do this successfully and to mitigate the risk, the inherent fear that comes with it, is to ensure that everything is tracked properly using a tracking system, right? Like the one we implement for our clients. And so once you get to the point where you can raise your prices, you want to raise them quickly and aggressively. Anything below $15 price increase is simply just not effective at actively increasing our income. And so when we do these aggressive price increases, that's why it's so important that we understand the marketing, because every time that we go up on prices, barbers, we're increasing the further risk of the business going bad, right? We're raising the standards, which means the ship that is our business has to be in better shape. Everything has to be running smoothly for us to ensure this. The last and most important step as a barber that nobody talks about is expanding beyond barbering. Because you can make a lot of money as a barber, you can charge a lot of money, but the one thing that most barbers just simply can't get is actual freedom. Currently, I only cut here 2 days a week. This is my barbershop, Top Floor Cuts. I charge $135 for a normal haircut. I charge $270 for any after hours appointments. And the rest of that time, I completely have to myself to work on Cash Flow Barbering Agency, to spend with my family, to spend with my dog, right? To drive around, really just do whatever I want. And it took me years to realize this. With the money that I make only cutting a couple days a week, it's still more than I was making as a full-time barber. I was able to make 6 figures a year cutting less than 4 days per week cutting hair. And the way I was able to accomplish this was just simply charging as high ticket as possible and also ensuring that I built barbering around my life, right? I ensured that the way I approached barbering was simply just building it around my life. Building it, which way do you want to do it, left or right?
Right.
Right? You like it like this? This way? Yeah. Just building barbering around my life. I didn't decide what days, because at one point, I let barbering dictate my entire life. I was always in the shop. I missed out on things. I missed out on family time. I thought that I didn't have time because I owed my time to my barber business. But what I realized is if I would have just had better systems and better structure in place, this would have never been an issue, right? If I would have just had better planning and better systems like I do now, I would have been able to just actually not miss out on the things I wanted to do and still have a profitable, successful barber business. And so that's why we place all of our clients with editors. That's why as barbers, it's so important to have a good team in place and to have that skill set. So once you're a little more advanced and you get to the point where maybe you're charging a high ticket and you want to reinvest into the business, right? Because one of the biggest things as barbers is we're afraid to reinvest. We don't like to reinvest our money. We want to keep everything that we have for ourselves because we feel like we earned it, right? The client paid us. That's our payout. But one of the highest leverage things you can do is realize that the business still needs to grow. And so investing into things like a virtual assistant or an editor, something that can help you win your time back so that you don't have to do extra hours of work every day, and that you can automate the entire process, that's gonna buy you real freedom. And at the end of the day, after cutting for so long, what I realized is that my freedom is a lot more valuable than my income. And when I was making a high income, but I had no freedom, I felt trapped. And when I had freedom and income, I felt the best I ever have. That's why it's so important to build barbering around the life that you desire, right? Build your business around your dream life, whether that's spending time with family, whether that's having a second business, whatever the case might be, build that around barbering. Placing an editor is one of the highest leverage things you could do. And I would say to any barber, the third way on how to make your first 6 figures sustainably is to hire a team. Because a lot of barbers can hit a 10K month one time, but they burn out. They get tired of cutting hair because they're doing so much volume, and they fail to put things in place that are gonna prevent them from burning out in the future. This is why I recommend as soon as you hit even a 6 to 7K month, hire an editor, right? Avoid burnout, be able to teach this person, and then hire a virtual assistant so you don't have to worry about posting. And doing all these things is gonna put your barber business in such a better spot than you could have possibly been in before. Because now you're taking so much bandwidth off the table, you're taking so much cortisol and stress off the table that now your barber business is completely running itself. I'm at the point now where I just checked my books, my Booksy, and I already have new clients and clients at $135 a cut booking me for this weekend. And I haven't even touched the barber business or done anything with it since Saturday, and it's currently a Tuesday. My videos have all been posted on time. They've been edited by my editor. My assistant will send the video to my editor. And I just really haven't done anything or had the need to do anything at all. And that's how it should be. That's how your barber business is gonna feel the best for you, right? So I recommend every barber invest into some type of team and learn the skills on how to teach them. Learn how to properly lead a team. Learn how to actually lead your team, right? A lot of people talk about hiring an editor, but they're not even able to lead the editor themselves. And that's where it really gets tricky, because it's like, if you can't lead somebody else, right? If you can't teach this editor the skills that you've learned as a barber, how are you ever going to be able to actually build something sustainable? So first step, good product. Second step, good marketing. Third step, systemizing and scaling to build real freedom as a barber. That pretty much wraps up the video, guys. Hopefully you guys found it valuable, and that is exactly how I get back to my first 6 figures as a barber in literally just 6 months to a year if I had to restart and lost everything. That pretty much wraps up the end of the video, guys. Hopefully you guys got some type of value out of this. If you guys want to know more about consultations, there's a video ad for that. Here's a video of one of our most successful clients implementing the exact same system. And as always, if you guys want to know exactly how we scaled all these barbers that I mentioned, go ahead and click the link below. Book a call with us just to see if we can help. I'll see you guys on the other side.